Hey, we're live. What's going on, everybody? It's Kevin
What's up?
and Brad doing another art stream today. I got away from like giving these things like consistent names with like things that with like tags that'll help bring people to the channel for specific purposes.
Yeah.
I need to get back to doing that stuff, but I've called this the trash stream, the trash art stream.
Yeah,
We used to call it the Strangeville Stink Show. It's had a lot of.
You probably can't use the word buttholes in like your in your names.
I mean, I would, but I don't. I think that YouTube.
That's what I'm saying. I think they would tell us, no butthole names.
Yeah, YouTube is such a fuddy-duddy these days.
Fucking butthole haters.
Yeah, like there's no fucking censorship that control. There's no like state censorship that controls the fucking thing, but they got to keep things advertiser friendly, even though I don't advertise on this.
Yeah, or
channel.
At least you can't do anything really like that until you start making money, and then you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, it's like there's two polar opposites of like I could do whatever I wanted to on this stream, nobody's gonna care, but the algorithm will grab a hold of anything like offensive and just throttle it down to nothing. And that's just the algorithm. That's just the bullshit AI that they use. But then if your channel gets big enough, they pretty much leave you alone and let you do whatever you want. But then everyone in the middle suffers from whatever the whim or fancy YouTube has that day about how they want their the content on their platform handled. But whatever, people complain about YouTube all the time, and it literally doesn't affect us. We get 100 views. We get 100 views at best on these videos. This is just a
and the other thing is people complain about everything all the time, so you can't really,
Right.
No one's ever going to be all the way happy.
This is a nice little channel. I like it. We got a real chill stream. We hang out. We got some people that pop in and out. I did notice, I went ahead. I don't usually look at the analytics or anything for this channel because it doesn't matter. We're just documenting this. People can come for years in the future and check out when we were working on particular projects and whatnot. And it's kind of like an online video diary that allows people to sort of a day in the life of an artist kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Which I when I first started getting into drawing comics last year, I was super into following all these different art channels. And there's still a few that I really, really like. I really like Doug TeNaples' channel when he's doing daily videos, but he's been, old Doug has been trying to chase the dragon lately. And he really, really, really wants the subscribers. Like he really wants them.
Yeah.
And so he's been doing a lot of gimmicky stuff, and he makes fun of himself for doing it. I'm not saying oh, Doug's a sellout, but his shows for me, and maybe I'm in a minority, and that's why he's trying to push away from it because he's not getting the audience response that he wants from those streams. But the streams when like he sits there and pencils or inks pages from comic he's working on, he's got his colorist in the chat and she's coloring on the work, and he's got his letterer in the chat and on the video, and he's lettering the comics. I just love watching how the sausage is made. I love those streams where they're talking to each other about like just hardcore talking about the art of the book. Like, oh, you change this, add this, desaturate that, don't make that so complex. If you're going to do that with that word balloon style, you're going to have to commit to it for the whole book. Like actually watching in real time, watching the sausage get made, where all these like badass artists are communicating how the final product is going to look when it shows up on my doorstep. And
plus, like they're all like masterful within what they do.
Oh yeah, they're all great, like great artists, and I'm invested in it because I backed the comic. So for example, the last few months they've been working on Earthworm Jim, the comic book, and I was the 48th backer, I think, of that, and it's got I think over 10,000 backers. I was backer number 48.
I know the last time I looked, his number was he was starting to push towards like $1 million or something, I think.
Yeah, it ended up over 800,000. It's the largest single crowdfunding campaign of all time for comic books, and that's great. Anyway, he sort of got away from that, and he's been experimenting by having other types of people on his show that have way larger channels than his, trying to like get some channel bleed over and get new subscribers from other guys' channels, and it's kind of getting away from the daily inking and penciling and coloring, which again, if I'm in the minority, then that's too bad for me. I'm not saying Doug has to do what I want him to do, but I follow another dude named Jeff Lafferty. He did the Berserkernaut comic, and I've told you about him before, where he's the guy that uses just Sharpies and pens.
Yeah,
and uses like cheap acrylic paints, and he has this badass style, and he does it like without any fancy pens or inks. He does an art cast where he records the footage of himself drawing.
Yeah.
And then he takes that footage and later does a voiceover over it. Mm-hmm. And he oftentimes will just answer questions from previous videos, people asking questions in the comments. And so he'll spend the whole time, like, we see him drawing, but while he's drawing, he's telling us, answering questions and just talking about the artist's life, talking about the struggles and different ambitions that he has. He'll talk about his schedule and how he's working and juggling his family life and his artist life and things like that. And I really like that stuff. I follow another dude named Jason Brubaker, and Jason Brubaker, he's got a big following on YouTube, and he'll do the same thing where he'll do a lot of artwork and then he'll record it all, and then he'll go back and voice over it later and talk and answer questions or just he does a lot. He gives a lot of advice.
I like that, or even like sometimes when a guy will just time lapse a drawing, and you can just kind of quickly. A lot of times
that's what Jason does. He'll do like an 8-hour shift of drawing his comic, and he'll time lapse it down to an hour, and then he'll talk over it. He'll give a lot of. Jason gives a lot of really great advice for aspiring artists, and he's got a really cool style too. And then I follow this one chick. She's like super gimmicky. Her name's Lavender Town. Do you know who she is?
I don't think so, no.
Lavender Town does these, she does like real cutesy cartoon. She's got a real cutesy cartoony style.
Yeah.
And she does the same thing where she voiceovers over the art that she makes, but she's like super gimmicky where she'll be like Halloween monsters, but done as cute anime characters. That'll be the video, and it'll be her voicing over the whole time. Like, so I took the Headless Horseman. She's got a voice like this. So I took the Headless Horseman and I decided that I wanted to make him cute, and this is what I did. And I think it turned out okay. But I really like her style too.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't know, the cutesy, gimmicky crap just gets me for some reason. She's got over 1 million subscribers. And wow. She's a full-time YouTuber. Like, her job is to sit on YouTube and be like, I really think this is cute, so I drew it like this. I hope you guys like it.
No, you don't like it? Oh, God.
But every once in a while, she'll like do the beginning of the video, like in person, like with actually on camera. Big ass fucking titties, dude. Big ass fucking titties. And I'm like, Lavender, you could sell your whole channel on your titties. But she keeps the titties low key. And I think she only appears at the beginning of those videos with a little bit of titty showing when she's kind of
just to get you in pretty much.
I'm thinking it's like the videos that she's like unsure of. She's not quite sure the video's gonna take off, so I'll put a little bit of these big ass titties.
Put a little bit of titty on it. Put a little titty on it.
Videos. And everybody watching this is gonna go hunt up Lavender Town and see if they can get a shot of the tits.
Yeah. Also, like if anyone would be interested, or our page could grow it all from my tits, all you have to do
say the word.
Say the word. We'll ruin this goddamn stream right here, right now.
But I was looking at the analytics for this channel, and we're about 50-50. About half of the people who watch this stream are subscribed, and about half of the people who watch this stream are not subscribed. So for those of you who watch these videos, go ahead and throw us a like and a subscribe on these videos. Like the channel. We do these videos a lot. I put a lot of other content up here as well. As you'll see, you just scroll down through the videos, and it's really a smorgasbord of Strangeville. There's all kinds of stuff going on. I try to upload a couple of videos a week and do 2 or 3 or 4 of these streams, these art streams, every week as well. And so I do my own time lapse videos from time to time myself. It's kind of like a random mix of things, but it's because Strangeville kind of has a lot going on. There's audiobooks on this channel. There's clips from movies. There's these art streams with me and Brad. Sometimes I bring the Hack Movies crew on and we watch, trailers and parts of the movies and reminisce about the old days of our old filmmaking war days. And there's a lot of cool stuff on here. So throw us a subscribe. We're a little over 500 subscribers right now. And if I hit 1,000 subscribers, I think is what YouTube demands now. If I hit 1,000 subscribers, I can monetize the channel and throw ads on it. And I think you can take super chats in the chat at 1,000.
I think so too.
So that's sort of the number that I'm not saying I will monetize the channel, and I'm not saying I will take super chats, but that's sort of the next milestone I want to get this channel to. As we sort of build towards, I'm going to be spending the rest of this month and into the beginning of next month doing fulfillment on Dead Shit the comic book, and then I'm going to ramp up the production, the pre-production, and then the production on my next comic book. So you'll be able to sort of see, if you've been following this channel for the last few months, you've actually seen me draw pencil pages for the final issue of Dead Shit, the comic book, and you watched me do a lot of the inks and some colors and even some lettering for that comic. And now you're going to see the fulfillment. You're going to see me send it out the door. And if you stick around and subscribe to the channel, you can actually see. I'll be when me and Brad are chilling out, hanging out, I'm actually going to be drawing thumbnails on note cards, and I'm going to thumbnail out the entire fucking comic book right here on the stream.
Yeah, when I move into that process on my next one, I'm going to do it on here too.
Yeah, so you'll get to see me and Brad actually go from like the thumbnail process of our comics all the way through fulfillment when we've finished our campaign and we're sending them out the door, like beginning to end. You'll see how the sausage is made in little indie comics like ours. So if you're a beginner, if you're just getting into comics, just saying like, what do I even do? I'm overwhelmed. How do you even do indie comics on a small level? Well, this stream here, we chill, we talk, we joke, make fun of each other, and we will show you, we'll show you the process of how we go through and make these indie comics and how we promote them. Following the Kevin Strange YouTube channel is like a how-to to make comic books. You've sort of seen me in real time go from drawing them to promoting them to running this campaign all the way through. Fulfillment starts now. I got a box of movies and DVDs in today that have to go out to the campaign. I got 2 more boxes coming, and I got a big box of comics, and I've got a box of posters and trading cards that are still on their way. And you're going to see me, package all that stuff up. You're going to see us do all that work, package them all up, and send them out the door, like totally from beginning to end. So you've watched me draw this fucker all the way to putting them in envelopes and sending them out to the backers, and I think that's cool.
I think it's real cool too. That sounds like a Tony Robbins book, by the way. Fulfillment starts today.
Yeah, fulfillment starts today.
Fulfillment
starts today.
Right. We need to be written out freaking giant spaces and screaming that at people.
I ran a little poll on Twitter the other day, and I want to share this with you because I found it very interesting. And I didn't get a whole lot of responses, but I got enough responses to get the gist.
The way that started out could have went a lot of different ways. I ran a little poll, and then
can you see that?
Yeah.
So, Yo Indie Comics, would you be more likely to back the next Strangeville Comics project if it was / had trade paperback format, family-friendly content, better art, or I just don't like you? And I always try to include an I just don't like you as part of my assessments of the projects that I do, because there is an element of people, and this has been true for me for my entire life since I first started going to school. Something about my face, my personality, my voice. I rub some people the absolute wrong way. They cannot stand me. They cannot stand me as a person. And nothing I can do will ever change that. Like I can't, there's no way to be nicer to them. There's no way to, they're just not going to like me. And I've accepted that. I accepted that a long time ago, that there's a certain amount of people that just absolutely, it's like, I'm like nails on a fucking chalkboard to them. And they cannot handle my success. They cannot stand my drive and my work ethic. They will find a way to shit on me no matter what I do. It's not good enough. I'm not good enough. And there ain't nothing going to change that. So I always add, I just don't like you as part of the, like, what can I do to win you over as a customer? And I always try to leave the option open to like nothing. You just fucking suck. And as you can see, you know, several people went ahead and clicked that option here on the on the poll. So several people, you know, I was wondering, you know, when I started this, when I knew that I would have the Hack Movies people when I decided to do Dead Shit, the comic book, you know, adapt the Dead Shit movie into a comic book. But all the way back, as far back as the movies themselves, I had pushback from titling things like Dead Shit or Colonel Kill Motherfuckers or Cockhammer as the titles of my movies. I always had pushback. People saying, Kevin, if you just call it something normal, more people will buy it. But as a fan myself, you know, seeing something like seeing when I was like 20 years old, my friend, one group of my friends like fell headfirst into the Juggalo world and were like converted into the Juggalo cult and have been Juggalos ever since. 20 years strong, and they'll die. They'll die in an ICP casket. They're that hardcore down. And I remember seeing my friend wearing a shirt that was just an ugly, horribly like bloated, fat Santa Claus, and the shirt said Santa Claus is a fat bitch. And I laughed until I cried, and I was like, Santa Claus is a fat bitch, and it said Insane Clown Posse on it. And I was like, that is the funniest fucking shirt I've ever seen. They're like, have you heard the song? I'm like, what do you mean the song? And it's a CD single. Oh, they show me the CD, and the CD is the same, you know, artwork, and it says Insane Clown Posse. And the song is Santa Claus is a fat bitch. And it's just, that has been with me ever since, is that type of promotion and creating that type of sort of that vulgar humor as part of your promotion process. And I've talked about this on the show before. The mainstream will never accept that. No. You're never going to have Santa Claus is a fat bitch or Cockhammer in a Walmart. No. It's never going to happen.
Or being played as like a Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer Christmas thing, you know, all the time. Like where it becomes a, what do they call that? Like a tradition, you know?
Yeah. So my style, like what I wanted Hack Movies to be from the beginning, I always thought back to that. I always thought back to GWAR. I thought back to like ECW Pro Wrestling. I thought back to all the renegade art, you know, the renegade art that absolutely says fuck you to the mainstream right out of the gate. Yeah. Like, you're never going to pay attention to me, and I'm going to make sure you never pay attention to me because you can't even say the name of my movies on TV. That's how badly I wanted to say fuck you to the mainstream. And so, you know, I had pushback with people going like, Kevin, you'd sell more movies if you just call them something normal. I'm like, I don't want to sell more. I want to make somebody that walks up to the table bust up laughing at the thought that a movie even exists called Dead Shit. Yeah, and it's a zombie movie.
The kind of stuff like the weirdo art and movies and stuff, it's really either people love it or they hate it. There's not a lot of middle ground in it where people are just like, you know. A lot of people either see it and they're like, wow, this is really neat, or they see it and they're like, want to pray for you, and they don't like it at all, you know.
So going into indie comics, it was like, you know, how are these people? How is indie comics going to react to this fuck the mainstream style that I have? And I knew I wanted to do Dead Shit the comic book as my first project, and I knew the title was going to throw people. But it's not just the title. I mean, even the way, like all the advertising and everything, the way I handle the Hack Movies universe is a super vulgar comedy. It's super fucking ridiculous and vulgar. And so I wondered going into indie comics, because most indie comics are like not necessarily family friendly, but like PG-13. They don't really push the titties. They could have some gore and some blood, but they don't push it super strongly. You know, indie comics, especially like the big sellers,
Yeah.
They remain sort of in the PG-13 area. And so I was, I did a lot of research on that before I started promoting towards that audience. And I was very curious the entire time I was running these campaigns, like, how is indie comics going to react to this? Because there's nobody like Strangeville Comics in the indie comics scene. Nobody's pushing vulgar, sex-filled, full of titties and dicks. Nobody is
bitches growing giant dicks out of their vaginas.
Yeah, nobody's doing comics like this in indie comics. Now there's underground comics, and that's something totally different. You and I follow guys on Instagram with the hashtag lowbrow art.
Yeah.
On Instagram that are part of that scene, and that scene's more like zines and like black and white mini comics and things like that, and they'll have lots of titties and gore and dicks and stuff like that. But as far as like pushing full color indie comics through crowdfunding like Indiegogo and Kickstarter, I don't see a lot of that. I don't see a lot of the hardcore stuff like that, hard R, or even pornographic stuff. I don't see a lot of it. So I was always curious if they would react poorly to that or if they would react all right. And so the reason I have that second option there in the poll is, if I had more family friendly content, would you be more likely to back my next project? Because I just wonder. Are you snapping?
Snapping? Oh no, I turned on a light.
Okay. I thought you were like,
no, this light on my.
I got you.
That would be awesome though. In the future, if I'm trying to.
So, yeah, I threw that option in there just to see if there were people that would be like, "Oh yeah, your stuff's cool, but it's too many titties. The titles are too fucked up. Too many dicks. You've got some kind of a dick obsession, some obsession with drawing dicks." So I threw that on there, and a couple people said, "Yeah, I'd be more likely to back your comic if you had more family friendly content," and I accept that. I don't know that that's going to happen, but I accept that. I accept that they would be more likely to back me if I toned it down a little bit. That's fine. That's to be expected. Then I also added the option better art because I'm still very much in the beginning stages of my artistic career. I drew a little bit in high school, but I really didn't develop an art style until I basically. About a year and a half in to really hardcore drawing, trying to draw every day, trying to learn the fundamentals and draw better, learning inking, learning coloring, and all that stuff. I really haven't had a lot of experience with it, so I threw that option in there. If I had better art, like maybe I hire somebody, maybe I hire one of those Instagram artists that we follow that you and I talk about. Maybe I ask them to do the pencils and inks on a Strangeville project. Maybe more people will come out and buy a comic if it was drawn by somebody better than me. And a couple people picked that option. A couple people said, "Yeah, I'd go ahead and buy your books if they had better art, if you weren't such a piece of shit artist." And I accept that. And I don't know that I'll do that because the experience that I've had. Because I first wanted the Dead Shit comic book to be drawn by a different artist. Yeah. I didn't even want to be an artist. I just wanted to write the thing. I didn't even want to draw the thing originally. This was going back about 2 years when I first started really developing these comic books. And what I ended up finding was every single comic book artist I asked and I'm talking indie guys. I'm talking guys that barely have a resume. Guys that basically just draw pictures of Wolverine and post them on the internet, right?
Yeah.
Barely have, yes, my commissions are open. I'm not sure they're getting a lot of knocks on the door for them commissions, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I would ask them, hey, would you be interested in drawing this comic book for me? And I always got one of two responses. The first response was, sure, I'd love to draw your comic for $10 million.
Right. Yeah.
They just wanted so much money that it was like, some of these guys, man, they're decent enough artists, but they have no resume. So they're literally being like, I've never drawn a comic book before, but you're going to pay me what I think Marvel comic artists get paid per page. It's like, well, I read on the internet somewhere that a professional, comic in the industry for 20 years gets paid $400 a page. So go ahead and pay me $400 a page and I'll do it. It's like, dude, you've never even drawn a comic book before.
Yeah.
Why would you charge outrageous prices? And 400 is an inflated number, but I've had people quote me 60 a page.
Yeah.
$60 a page just for inks.
Yeah, it's fucking
$60
crazy.
a page for inks. If you start doing the math, that's $600 for the first 10 pages, bro.
Yeah, it's big time.
That's $600 for the first 10 pages. That's a 100-page comic. This dead shit is a 120-page comic. $1,000 just for the inks.
Yeah.
You haven't even colored this bitch yet. And we're $8,000 in the hole.
Yeah, that's fucking bonkers.
And those guys that ask outrageous prices, they won't draw it first and take the money. Like, I've asked them, like, I can't pay you $8,000, but I'll pay you half of whatever we make on the Indiegogo. And they always tell me the same thing. I can't take that risk. Oh, you can't take that risk? You've never drawn a fucking comic book in your life,
right?
But you can't take the risk?
Fucking pretentious.
Oh. You'll be out there promoting it too, bitch.
Yeah.
It's your ass on the line too. You don't want. Oh, I don't want to take the risk. Yeah, I'm gonna take the risk. I'm gonna take the $8,000 risk, you motherfucker. Then I go run the Indiegogo or Kickstarter, and the artist is nowhere to be seen. Oh, how's that doing, bro? How's it doing? You already got your check, motherfucker. You don't care how it's doing.
Yeah, and
you took no risk. The other thing that I find, if I do find an artist that has a reasonable price or is willing to take the risk with me, they want to take forever.
Yeah.
They want to take 10 fucking years to draw a 100-page comic. They say, oh, I've totally got the time to do it. I'll work on it for half an hour on Saturdays. How's that sound?
Yeah.
I'll get half a page done a month. How does that sound? No, motherfucker, that sounds like you're wasting my time.
That was terrible.
That sounds like you're wasting my fucking time. Because and I eventually got fed up and I drew the fucking thing myself. And in 7 months, I had 120 pages and 3 issues done. Yeah. And I promoted it and shot videos and and worked full time the whole fucking time I did it.
Yeah, it's weird how people out there, they like have no experience doing it, but for some reason, and a lot of them are like great artists, but I don't know, it sounds like a weird asshole way to be, but you can be a great fucking artist and still be a nobody,
It's the resume, man. It's your resume, not your unfortunately to me, this is just coming from me. My opinion, my personal opinion is it's not the quality. It's not the quality level of your work. I expect you to be good. It's the resume you have. Mm-hmm. If you've never done a comic book before, then you've never done a comic book before. That means all of the logistical problems that go with paneling out a story and pacing a story and clarity of story and the design factors that go into laying out panels and making sure those panels are harmonious with the other panels on the page. All of that is going to have to be handled for the first time. How to read a comic book script and adapt it properly into that form. You as the writer, you can't just say do it the way I say. You have to the script has to be informative enough that the artist can interpret your meaning for what is supposed to be in those panels and then produce that.
Yeah.
And a very, very first time comic book artist isn't going to be able to do that. They're going to be learning. They're going to be learning right along with it. You know what I mean? For the first time, you can draw a cool character. That's fine. You can draw great backgrounds. That's excellent. You have really good composition on your pages. You spot blacks really well on your page. That's all well and good. But how well do you translate a comic book script into a page? Oh, you don't know because you've never done it before.
Never done that. Yeah.
So don't act like you're worth $40, $50, $60 a page when you don't know what you're worth per page. But you read on the internet somewhere that that's what the pros get, so that's what you asked me for.
Right.
And anyway, so that drove me crazy, and I ended up doing it myself. But the question always still remains. I wonder how many more copies of Dead Shit we would have sold if a professional artist would have drawn it. So I add that option on there. If it had better art, would you buy it? Would you be more likely to back the next comic? And a couple of people said, yeah, if it had better art, I'd support it. But look at what the overwhelming number of people chose in that poll. They said they'd be more likely to support the next Strangeville Comics project if it was in trade paperback format instead of the 3 floppies that I did for this. Technically this is 4 floppies. The 3rd issue is double sized. Each issue individually is a little bit longer than the average comic, and then the 3rd issue is a double-sized comic.
Well, don't they step up almost in size? It's like the first one's 32, the second one is like 36.
52.
Yeah.
So it's they get progressively longer and longer as they go, but 120 pages can usually get split into 4. This is basically 4 floppies that I put out individually, and I only ran 2 Indiegogos. I ran an Indiegogo for the first issue, and then snuck the second issue in at the very end as a perk you could add, and a lot of people did. And then this time around, it was all 3 issues, and I made sure to harp on the whole time. This is the complete series. They're not buying the first 3, and there's going to be 3 more. You know what I'm saying? This is it. When you buy these 3 comic books, it's the complete story of the Talisman of Transmutation. This story concludes with the 3rd issue. I wanted to push that so they didn't feel like they were coming in and buying half the story or something.
Yeah.
This isn't half the story. This is the complete story. But it looks like a fair amount of people, based on this poll, would have rather me put this thing out as a 120-page trade paperback with the perfect, the
perfect balance,
spine and all that, knowing that they were getting a complete story in between the pages, in between covers. So, and we've been talking about this probably on the show, but also offline, you and me, we've been talking about what the best way to move forward is for me. And I've kind of always assumed that my next project would be trade paperback, just as an experiment. You know what I mean? Just to see. So the first book I ran, I did it as floppies. The second book I run needs to be trade paperback, just to compare and contrast the different styles.
Yeah.
And see if more people come along for the trade paperback, or if it's the same amount of people. Maybe it's a different crowd. Maybe there's one crowd that buys floppies and one crowd that buys trade paperbacks, and you're never going to please them both.
Yeah.
The only way to please them both is to release them in both formats, is to release everything as floppies and then later collect them as a trade paperback. But we're going to try, and here's the thing. If I had waited and drawn every single page of Dead Shit, the Talisman of Transmutation, all 120 pages, before I ever put out a single comic book, we would be just now finishing with our first campaign.
Yeah.
And all that stuff I learned over the spring, I would have never learned it because I wouldn't have had a comic book done. I don't know if I would have, for my very first project, I don't know if I could have kept the momentum going to do 120 pages before I ever knew if anybody was even going to buy it. I may have chickened out halfway through and just quit.
Yeah.
Who knows what I would have done, because it was a huge undertaking just to get that first issue out. Just to do just to learn, just to teach myself how to draw comics and drawing pages and panels over and over and over again, correcting them, fixing them, learning how to do the color and the shading and the texture and all that stuff that I had to learn how to do. I'm not sure that I could have kept that momentum going through a whole 120 pages before ever knowing. Like it was a real morale boost and a nice break to be able to go ahead and do an Indiegogo off that first issue.
Yeah.
It really showed me, and being able to bring in the $1,100 that we did, it gave me that boost of confidence to really knuckle down and smash through that 50-page third issue and just make it as good as I could and take everything I had learned and just cram it in there and then run another campaign, do the campaign videos, and we did the same thing. We matched the first campaign financially. So going forward, if my next project ends up being a 120-page trade paperback, that's a daunting task, but I already know it can be done. You know what I mean? I've already got the fan base there that I'm pretty sure no matter what, and I hate to say this and fail, I hate to say this and be wrong because every project is different. And I might go forward on a project that's a complete dud that it doesn't appeal to the right audience. You know, people are just like, that seems cool, but I really liked Dead Shit better. Why don't you do another Hack Movies thing? I'll support that. If there's a chance that I could smash out 120 pages and people not support it, but I'm going to go ahead and say on camera, well, I've documented forever, I'm pretty sure we can hit $1,000. That's like our floor.
Yeah.
I'm sure the lowest amount we're going to make on a project is going to be $1,000. And if I'm wrong and I have to eat shit for that, this next project fucking falls in the dick, its dick just goes straight in the fucking dirt. Then that's what happens. That's the risk you take being a creator. But I'm pretty sure that if I knuckle down and do 120 pages, and I don't know if it'll be 100 pages or 96 pages or 120 or 140. I don't know. I haven't finished it yet. I haven't finished the script yet. So once the script is finished, and then I panel out how many pages, like do the panel construction, see how many panels are going to be on each page, then I'll have a better idea of how many pages it's going to be. But let's just say, let's just guess that it's going to be the same length. It's going to be around 120 pages. That's going to take me months and months and fucking months.
Yeah.
But I already have that confidence that I can make $1,000 at least. And that puts a lot of money in my pocket. A lot of that goes back into the production costs, but it makes it worth it. Like with this money that Indiegogo is about to put in my bank account, this $1,100 that we made, a lot of that money is already spent because I spent my own money to press up all these movies and comics and posters and trading cards. But a fair amount of that money is profit, and that will allow me to buy convention tables, or that will allow me to buy the copies, because through my printer, well, I don't want to talk numbers. It doesn't matter. There's no reason to dissect exactly how much profit I'm going to make every comic. Some people get mad about that. They're like, you profit too much. You should sell your comics for less. You're greedy. They're like that. If you really talk, like, go too hardcore into the numbers, that'll be between you know the numbers.
Yeah,
I know the numbers. We'll just leave it at that. But if I press up pressing up the trade paperback is obviously going to cost me a lot of money. If I end up
they're more to have printed than just the floppy.
It costs a hell of a lot more than the floppy, but 3 floppies, it's about the same. From the research that I've done, printing up 3 floppies or printing up 1 trade paperback costs about the same. That's why I sell it for about the same. It costs $25 to buy all 3 issues of Dead Shit from me through the campaign. That trade paperback of the next project, it's going to be $25. That's my guess.
Yeah.
So, and the profit margin is going to be about the same. But because I run my campaigns by actually having the comics pressed, printed, and ready to ship before I launch the campaign, It's going to cost me hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars to have those printed up.
Up
And
front.
that pretty much represents all the profit that I'm going to make off of this Dead Shit campaign. This $1,100 that's about to get put in my bank account, almost all the profit of that is going to go towards printing up the next comic. So I'm pretty sure that's the direction I'm going to take. Pretty sure I'm going to do the trade paperback.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to knuckle down. I'm going to do the work. And here's the interesting thing. I've got, if we decide that we're really going to hit the con scene next year to sell these comics, the con season starts about March.
Yeah.
The first couple good shows that I like to do are in Indianapolis. One of them is called Days of the Dead. The other's called Horror Hound Weekend.
Yeah.
Both of those shows do Horror Hound does a little better for us financially. Days of the Dead it does okay, but for me it's not about. Once I get on the con scene, my whole mentality changes. It's promotion. What I'll do is I'll end up printing up. I'll figure out a way to print up some super cheap preview comic, even if it's a mini comic. Even if it's like a mini 10-pager, maybe even black and white, like a mini 10-pager comic, black and white. If I can do it for 50 cents a piece, I'll print up 500 of those motherfuckers, and I'll hand one out to every motherfucker that comes by the table. They'll get a free mini comic from Strangeville Comics.
I was just telling you the other day that I've been thinking about putting together a little mini comic, that I have a couple stories that are cool, but I don't feel like they're like big enough to go into being like full blown, where I do multiple issues of them. So I think those mini comics could be cool. And then, like you said, they're pretty much like something that you can, if you can pull it off cheap enough. It doesn't, dude. I've been in tons of bands where we have a demo with like 2 songs, and everywhere we go, we just throw it out everywhere.
That's exactly the type of promotion that I like to do. And so whether we do, when I say that, like, well, more people buy my stuff at Horror Hound than Days of the Dead, I don't care, because what it's going to be about is it's going to be about how many cons can we cram into the year financially.
Right. Yeah.
How much shit can we give away? How much can we afford financially to give away? Because I'm not concerned about the fans. The fans are going to come. Fans are going to buy the stuff. The fans are going to love the stuff, and we're going to appreciate every single one of them. But it's trying to build the fan base and bring in new eyeballs that we're going to be concerned about on the road. To me, that's what the road is about. The road isn't about the road is about connecting with the fans and having an emotional connection there, and getting that reciprocal energy. The fans being super excited to get the new Strangeville shit, and me being super excited to sign it for them and take pictures with them and just geek out about it with them. But more than anything, going out on the road is about putting new shit into new people's hands, trying to get new eyeballs and build that fan base and grow that fan base. So if we actually decide to do that next year, and I commit to it, and I commit that I'm going to go on the road and I'm going to bust ass out there and try to build that fan base bigger and bigger on the road, that starts in about March.
Yeah.
From now till March, got about 4 or 5 months, about 4.5 months. The question is, can I draw a 120-page comic in 4 months?
Yeah, I fully believe that you could. My goal is I want to have at least one more finished issue of something. It doesn't have to be another Life with Rig story, but I want to have another finished comic. Even if it's just normal. Like my first one, I think, was 32 pages, and if I could just have if I can finish one more in that amount of time, I'll be happy. And I don't see why I shouldn't be able to. The time is, I feel like, should be plenty of time, and I learned a lot making that first one. That's going to make making this second one easier, But that's my goal, is to have another completely finished comic, and then other than that, I can sell. I have prints of all kinds of different stuff and stickers and all that jazz. So
My fear, if I can't get it done, if I'm still in the middle of the next project and March comes around, I have to shift mentally into con mode.
yeah,
Cons in March. We'll try to do something in April. We'll do them in May. Another big set comes in June and July. August and September have huge shows. And then October into November have shows as well. So there will be little break. There'll be little small breaks throughout. Like once I'm in convention mode, it's about coming home from the convention, figuring out the finances for how to logistically plan the next convention, get the table, get the hotel room, plan the transportation, and also reordering merch.
yeah,
Because we're going to
restocking.
sell out of shit over and over and over again. And for these floppy comics, there's about a 3-week turnaround
Yeah.
when I place the order and when they get here.
So we got to stay in front of that. Even we got to.
So that oftentimes I'll be ordering stock the week of a show, not for that show, but for the following show.
Upcoming, yeah.
So once I'm in convention mode, it's really going to be hard for me to come home and work on a comic book. I need to be done with the next project and ready to go into Indiegogo campaign mode with it while juggling the convention stuff. Also, it's going to be a bitch. It's going to be a full-time motherfucker.
Yeah.
And if I don't finish the comic by March, I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to do all that.
Yeah.
Afraid I'm not going to be able to juggle all that. So if I do it in floppies, I know I can get a 30-page issue done in 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
I might even be able to get 2 of them done. And then I could go on the road. I could put the Indiegogo up for the first 2 issues, go on the road for all summer, and then finish the last 2 issues in the fall, and put that Indiegogo up in the fall like we did here, March and October. Do 2 campaigns a year as floppies. I know I can do the floppy stuff. The question is, can I cram a trade paperback into these first few months? If I can't, should I even buy? And here's the thing about conventions. If I don't buy the table for Days of the Dead in Indianapolis in March, in the next few weeks, they'll sell out.
Yeah.
You can't buy convention tables the month of the show. They'll already be sold out. Sometimes they're sold out 6 months in advance. So if I commit to going on the con circuit, I have to commit to it now, which means I have to commit to trying to finish a 120-page comic in 4 months.
How long did it take you to do that, the issue 3 of Dead Shit? Because I can't remember the exact time, but I know that you hammered it out quick. And it was 4 pages?
I have my phone's in the other room. I document all that on Instagram. Like the day I start the fucking thumbnails is in there. And I think I want to say I started the thumbnails in May.
Of issue 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I finished it in September. No, I want to say it was only 2.5 months. I remember saying to myself, I cranked it out in 2.5 months.
Because I know me and you would talk, and it was,
so 50
pages
really
quickly. Yeah.
50 pages in about 2.5 months. So 100 pages in 4 months. Can it be done? Can be done.
Can be done. Yeah. I mean, as long as you can keep that, if you can get back onto that speed you were on, But the one thing about you too is that once you get moving, Yeah,
I won't even take a day off.
Yeah, once you
4
get
months straight with no days off.
So that's the other thing is, like I said, once you get going on something, we've talked about that a ton, that it's just something like kind of compulsive that doesn't get to stop until it's finished, So I fully think it could be done. Just with the speed that I've seen you put out some of these other ones, and especially that third one, the first one, I feel like the first book, at least what from my experience, is that the first one's probably always going to be the longest one that it takes you, because at least for me, I don't know what I'm doing. It's like a whole new world, and you do spend a little bit of time first off just getting comfortable, and then also learning different programs or different things that you're doing. And But yeah, I think you should be able to do it. I think it'd be fun to get to hit the conventions for sure.
Trying to sign these. I titled this show "Signing 100 Issues of Dead Shit the Comic Book."
Have you
Even
done
this
that
little-
with all three of these? Have you signed all three of these when you would send them out?
Yeah. Well, no, I don't necessarily sign the comics, but I am this time.
Yeah.
But I don't really have a good spot on here to sign, even with a silver marker. Maybe up here. You can actually see that.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. What am I doing here?
Yeah, it's about 100 issues that are going to go out in the next couple of weeks. So I want to sign every single one of them.
Yeah, and I told you if you need anything, help with any of that over the next few days, just hit me up. Because there's a lot of work in that part of it too, you know. I'm sure getting everything like packaged and ready and everywhere, it all has to go different places.
Yeah, it's going to be a logistical nightmare, but I tell you all the time I'm a weirdo.
Yeah,
I
that's the
love
kind of
logistical.
stuff you like. Yeah. And I'm the opposite. I like when things just fall into place and then I'm like, how did that happen? Which is probably why I'm like majoritively pretty much lost in life, you know, because nothing ever works that way. And
It took me forever to find this Sharpie too. I have a lot of my stuff is still in boxes from moving in
the
here.
silver one.
Yeah, it's a silver one, and somehow I found it.
Yeah, I
Went through
have one of
box after-
those somewhere, and I was looking for it the other day, and I couldn't find it. But those are really fucking cool. Is the silver Sharpie?
This is what I've always used to sign with, like signing DVDs and signing books and stuff. I always use the silver.
I wonder if they make a white one.
I mean, they make white out. I was almost like, should I use a white out pen?
And yeah. I ended up drawing. Don't know where it came from, but some backed out looking, I guess, Ninja Turtle dudes. I don't really know.
Is that what you're doing over there?
Yeah, just these real cartoony looking. I don't know where it came from. Just
They look like Ninja Pigs.
Ninja Pigs, yeah. Everything I draw, dude, everything, it's like a pig, monkey, inbred animal of some sort is everything I wind up drawing. It's all right with me, I guess.
This is kind of what I was talking about on the last show. This is where it really starts for me, where I start feeling really fucking pumped. This labor intensive stuff. Sitting here and signing all these comics that I know are going to go to the fans.
Slowly working on Corporal Tunnel or whatever it's called. What's that called? Corporal Tunnel. Where your arm gets all fucked up and you can't jerk off the right way or type on a computer.
You know, my arms are fucked up. My hands go numb already.
My hand's numb as fuck right now, even, dude. It's funny.
The Sharpie's drying out on me already. I've signed like 5 guys. I titled this thing "Signing 100." I've signed 5.
If it's drying out, you got to spit on it, don't you? I think that's how it works.
Is that how you're supposed to do it?
I don't. I was laughing earlier today.
Or does that just work with vaginas?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't really know a lot about vaginas. I'd like to know more, but I mean, I know what I like to do with them, but as far as like
Ignore them and go straight for the butthole.
yeah, I know what I like to do with them, but as far as like what ladies like done to them, I don't have a fucking clue. You know.
I love a well manicured vagina that I can ignore and go straight for the butthole.
Yeah, like, and a very unmanicured butthole, linoleum floor in the front and shag carpet in the back.
All right. Well, that marker dried out on me. I have to buy another one. So this is a title of this show is a big old lie.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right, Kevin. Well, the show that we did the other day, right when it comes on, you're like, I don't want to be on here very long.
It ends up being one of our longest shows.
Fast forward to an hour and a half later, you're like, where's the last piece of this shark's head? I don't want to be on here for too long today.
Dude, that was fucking funny. It was funny from a Kevin's an idiot point of view where I'm like, I got to be off here in 10 minutes. 20 minutes later, I'm like, I really need to leave in 5 minutes.
Goddamn shark. Yeah.
I got to get the pliers out because I can't get this shark piece.
Yeah, I was laughing about that too, that you had to actually use pliers on a Lego. Like, how many little kid gets these Legos and he's got his work box set next to him with like real hammers and screwdrivers and shit in it.
If you ever hear me say I don't want to be on here very long, get a cushion ready.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what I used to always tell my friends, especially back when I used to party, is if I'm ever drunk and then you hear me say, I got this under control, tackle me and don't let me do whatever it is that I think that I'm getting ready to take care of, you know? Because pretty soon you're going to realize that I don't have anything under control, you know? So if I'm ever inebriated, which I don't drink at all anymore, but when I used to, if you ever hear me be like, I'll take care of this, either run or tackle me or hit me with a cattle prod or something, because I'm getting ready to do something terrible.
Here's my first shipment. A couple dead shits, a couple smoked Christmases.
Yeah.
These all come, I get these professionally manufactured now. A lot of people out there on the road, they only have the like DVD-R version that I stamped with a black stamp. So they don't even have actual disc versions of these movies. So I like the fact that a lot of people went for that $30 option to buy all 3 comics and a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And they're getting these for free. These movies basically for free that come with the comics. There's Nick's final performance as Don Dueppe. Never thought I would say that. Never thought I would say the final performance. I guess it's not the final performance because here's Don Dueppe right here.
Right, yeah, I'm coming back.
The comic. Yeah, I'm happy that people are buying these because they're getting these professional, they're sealed.
Red, yeah.
I've never had them on the road like this either.
You didn't you say this time when we go out you're gonna pretty much all have all your stuff, or even if someone wants to buy one of your novels?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a monster table. I'm basically gonna have 20 novels, 7 movies, and a bunch of comic books. It's gonna be a monster fucking table.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. Have you ever? Well, I know. I mean, with especially comic books, because you didn't, you just kind of got into that more recent. But when you used to do the cons, did you always offer pretty much, like whenever you were out there with your movies, were you also hustling your books at the same time?
No, I've never sold the movies and the books together. Believe it or not. When I went out on the road with the books, I stopped selling the movies because I wanted people to focus on the books. I didn't want them to just keep buying hack movies, and I didn't have any more hack movies to sell them anyway. So it's just been the same. Not that people don't go out with the same movies over and over and over again for years, because they do. But I don't like to be. If I'm going to go on the road, I need something new.
Yeah.
So when I switched over to books, I just did books. So the books and movies have never been on a table together before, and the comic books have never been on a table, period. So there will be a lot of.
That'll probably be neat to.
Big cross section.
Yeah.
The women like the books. When you go to a horror convention, the women will buy your books. The dudes want the movies, and I'm not sure based on the gender demographic of the crowdfunding,
Yeah,
it's going to be overwhelmingly male for the comic books too.
yeah.
But I do have a little something for everybody, you know.
Yeah. Well, I know just the other day you were showing a mini story about the Loch Ness monster.
Yeah.
You got a lot of stuff. And for people that like that kind of stuff, you pretty much have the gambit of what do you like, you know?
Yeah, it's funny. My buddy was telling me the other day, I just need Strangeville music. I
Yeah.
just need to do a band. I just need to have a band now, and I pretty much have everything covered. What do you like? You like music, movies,
Yeah.
comics?
Well, when I started making those puppet shows, I used all music from the band that I was in right at that same time in those puppet shows.
Yeah.
And that was pretty cool to be able to do, just because you don't ever hear a whole songs, but the little bits of like music intro and outros that are in there is all stuff from my band playing. But then there is a song in the fourth puppet show called Fart Box. And it's just something that I made here in the house with a guitar and a little tiny amp, and then I tracked it and then I was screaming into just a computer speaker to sing it. But it's because the Rat Riggs starts telling you that he was in punk rock bands in college.
Yeah.
And then they start a band called Pizza Eagle. And then they rock out. And there's even a music video for it. But yeah, dude, having your own music is pretty rad. I do like the music that's in your videos. The it's like kind of funky. You know, it reminds me of like 90 cartoons. When you do a promo video, it's like the music that you always use for your intro.
Yeah, that's like the most generic shit.
Yeah,
on the internet.
Yeah, but that's what I like about it, and it fits really well because it's like
that's like early 2000s free generic shit off the internet.
Yeah,
I've had that on. I've had computers blow up, and I've salvaged their hard drives. And
to find that.
Yeah. That stupid music just comes with me from hard drive to hard drive for 20 years. I've had that stupid music for my movies.
I like it. I think it's cool.
Well, I'm about done. I need to take a nap and shit. Literally.
Don't do those things at the same time or it gets messy.
So I think I'm going to call this one actually a little bit earlier than usual.
Right. You don't want to break out some 15,000 piece Lego thing and put it together.
That was funny as fuck. Again, just funny from a Kevin's an idiot perspective. Like, are you really going to I've got 10 minutes. I can put this thing together.
It was great, dude. Yeah. Yeah, it was great. And I could tell that you had no give up in you. You were like, this fucking shark is getting put together before I get off here.
That's just how crazy I am. Once I get started on something, dude, it doesn't stop.
Yeah, that's why though, dude. That reason right there is why you can probably put that comic book out for that reason that you just said in the time frame that you need to get it done in.
I won't fucking sleep. I'll make myself sick.
No, we'll be on here and you'll be looking like you've been fucking tweaking meth, but really you're just drawing comic books.
I got good news and bad news, Brad. The good news is the comic's done. The bad news is I'm a meth addict.
Yeah, you're like, I don't do meth, but somehow I've turned into a meth addict. You'll be on here fucking licking your teeth and shit. That's my favorite meth head fucking activity is when they're like, you don't know how fucking turned on that makes me. You gotta stop.
All right.
Oh, good days, dude.
Yes, sir. That's the end of it.
That's the end. Done with our fat heads for the day.
Again, for all those dudes who watch this show that aren't subscribed, click the subscribe button. Get into this, get into the culture of Strangeville, man. We do this all the time. We sit, hang out, plan, scheme,
bullshit, make fun of each other,
make fun of our horrible disabilities.
Right, and giant heads, our big heads.
Giant fat heads.
Giant fat heads.
All right. From one fat head to the other, I'm Kevin, that's Brad, and we're out.
Nanu, or something like that.